What's up, everybody? My name is Parasite. Welcome back to Rebuilding Nebraska. Today we've got the first recruiting update of year 2. We're in week 4 of the season, and our board's starting to slowly come together. At the top of our board is outside linebacker Joseph Monroe. He's a 75 overall, which is actually lower than almost all the players above him, but he's still my #1 target. He's got a perfect skill set for the position we need at outside linebacker, and that is the left outside linebacker position, and he's got the coverage that I'm looking for. 83 zone, 72 man, not bad as a run defender either, with decent enough speed to keep up with tight ends. I think he could be a really good option at that left outside linebacker position, and it looks like we should be able to get him. We're starting to get a big lead over Texas A&M and Oklahoma. Up next is another outside linebacker, this one higher overall at 79, Jude, but he's got a completely different skill set from Joseph Monroe. He would be more of a right outside linebacker, which is still another big need for us. He might start as a true freshman if we can get him. But he's got some pretty good speed, amazing acceleration, which if you're playing as a weak side outside linebacker and they're running to the strong side, he's getting there every single time. I think he got a perfect skill set for what I like as a right outside linebacker. His coverage skills aren't great, but he's not going to need him that often as a right outside linebacker. He's mostly going to be covering running backs, if not fullbacks. But he's got really good pass rush ability, can be that blitzer, and he's got good defensive ability as well in stopping the run with decent tackling, decent block shed, play rack pursuit, just a really well-rounded player. But we were fighting with LSU and USC to get him, and right now we're slowly losing out. I've still got to hope we can stay in the race, but he might be a little bit less likely than like Joseph Monroe. And our third target, which is Matt Lamb, which if you look at him right now, we've got a pretty big lead, even though Tennessee is starting to slowly reel us in. I still think we've got a visit scheduled. I think we can get Matt Lamb. And again, he's another completely different skill set from the last two. He's more of a balance. He's kind of a mix of both of them. He doesn't have any pass rush ability, but he's got decent coverage ability. Pretty good run stopper, even though he only has 73 block shed. But he's also got some good speed. As a middle linebacker option, probably would redshirt year 1. Year 4, I think he'd be a really good option as a starting middle linebacker. Up next, a tackle, Jack Haley. Not a big need in terms of being a starter, but our backup right tackle is going to be a senior next year. And so I'm kind of looking forward to the future. Last year, we were building for this year. We're starting 9 true freshmen. Because of the work we did then, now we can look towards the future and build some depth and future starters for this team. And starting off, that's Jack Haley. He's a perfect right tackle with that 86 run block, good acceleration, good strength, decent enough pass block and impact blocking. We've just gotten into the race for him. We're very quickly gaining on Oklahoma, and we're the only team to have offered him a scholarship. So unless somebody else starts coming in for him, it's looking likely we could get Jack Haley as a depth option at tackle. Next up, another depth option would be Kyle Wade. We need a guard. We've got 3 guards who are going to be seniors next year, which would leave us only 2 guards on the roster. So we need guys we can bring in and redshirt, and he would probably start year 4. And he's a good player. 80 run block, 85 pass block. Probably would play him at left guard, but he's got that 90 strength, 78 impact, 88 acceleration. He can play both positions really and be very good at both of them. Again, we're kind of new into the race for him, and we're slowly gaining on USC and Minnesota, but it's looking promising. A lot of teams have offered him a scholarship, but no one looks to be going super heavy into him. We are. Hopefully we can get him. Up next is a strong safety, Quentin Ingram, but I would play him at free safety. We're going to have both of our starting free safeties this year are going to be seniors next year. So we just need some depth of position. Quentin Ingram, 77 overall. I do think his skill set actually fits better at free safety as well. 81 zone coverage, very good. 71 man coverage, good enough. Tackling's okay at 69. Play rec is pretty low at 65. Pursuit, 87. Not the fastest, not ideal speed, what I like for free safety, but considering you'd be redshirted, I think in a year or 2, I think he'll be pretty good for the position. Could be a good starter for us. Next up, Cole Jones, another outside linebacker. We need probably 4, if not 5 linebackers. We've got a lot of needs. Not only do we have a few older players there, but our backups aren't super high quality. We've even got a couple walk-ons. So Cole Jones be a good option for us, and he's a kind of player that can play all 3 positions. He's got decent pass rush ability, he's got decent coverage ability, and he's got really good block shed, even though his tackling is a little bit low. He's also got really good pursuit and play rack to be able to play in the middle with some good strength as well. So he can cover it all 3 roles. You know, backup that could be an important player if we don't get one of these 3 guys, can fill any of their roles and be a really good player. If not, he'd just be a lot better depth than what we currently have if he's not a starter at some point. Next up, Matt Campbell, a tight end. He's a JUCO, but he's only a JUCO sophomore, so not as bad. 75 overall. Not a big area of need, but Hickman, who's our backup tight end, is going to be a senior next year. So we just need somebody to redshirt, be some depth for us. Matt Campbell could do that. Next up, the first position that's not really a big area of need. We actually don't have any seniors at cornerback this year, and we won't have any seniors at cornerback next year. But BJ Cook is just better than all of the players we currently have at the team. 6'2", 188. We've got a big lead on him. Zone coverage and man coverage are amazing, but he does have low press, but he probably would be redshirted year one. So I think he could play on the outside whenever he does become a starter. He's got really good speed and acceleration, decent enough agility, but not agility at the level that I'd love to play him in the slot. But I think he could do it. I think he could do a lot of different things for us. And looks like we're going to be able to get him. We're continuing to get out a big lead over Michigan and Auburn. So a player that we don't really need, but I would still take. He'd be a better player than what we currently have. Next up, John Robinson, a punter. Our current punter is a senior, so we just need a punter. I'm looking to go after John Robinson. We've got a big lead. Should be getting him. Center, Jared Gross. Kind of like guard and tackle. He's not going to be a starter, but our backup's a senior, so we need somebody in that position. And he's such a good player. He might end up moving to guard at some point and starting there. But yeah, 77 pass, 82 run, good strength, decent impact. Might not get him though, but we are the only team to have offered him a scholarship. We are falling behind Ohio State and Georgia, but they haven't offered him a scholarship yet. If they do, I don't think we're going to get him. If they don't, I would like to bring him in. And next up, another free safety. Like I said, we're going to have 2 seniors, so we need multiple free safeties. Tim Hawley, a player I've just kind of found on the board. Good speed and acceleration. Coverage skills are good enough, but he's got amazing tackling at 88. 52 play rec is pretty low though. Might be better at strong safety. 72 block shed as well, I think would fit really well there. But I think he could be a free safety as well, and he'd just be some depth for us. Next up, some more depth. Joe Henderson. He's an 80 overall, but he is a JUCO, and he's a JUCO junior. So not really a long-term option, but a lot better depth than what we currently have. Guard might be our weakest position when it comes to depth. He would improve that. Up next, we got 4 more outside linebackers. Maybe not guys I'm really desperately going after. They're basically just options if I can't get any of the guys above that I'm going after. And they're actually good options for those guys as well. Marvin White is the first, and he's kind of like the last outside linebacker we looked at, Cole Jones. He can do all 3 roles. Decent enough pass rushing, good block shed, decent enough coverage, decent enough tackling, pursuit, play rec, speed. Again, just a really balanced guy that I'm hoping we could land just in on the board with him. The only team to have offered him a scholarship, really gaining on him. So he's just a good backup option, as is Adam Taylor, another new player to the board. And he's a little bit more of a specific skill set. He's more of a right outside, maybe middle linebacker with that kind of low speed and acceleration. Even his zone coverage is okay, as is his man. I don't know if I love him at left outside linebacker, but he's got a pretty good pass rusher, really good block shed. So I think he can play middle or right. And then Kyle King, who's probably more of a middle or left. He does have some pretty low speed for left outside linebacker, but he would be redshirted, so I'm hoping that would improve, and then he could be good enough to do it because he's got good coverage ability. He's also got really good block shed, but not much of a pass rusher, so I don't really see him on the right side. But I think he could actually be a good coverage middle linebacker. I think that's probably his best role. And then the guy we're targeting kind of the least out of all of them, Brad Adams. Really low speed, but he's a good pass rusher. Decent in zone coverage too. Really good zone coverage, actually. But his block shed's a little low, so maybe not an ideal middle linebacker. Could play right probably pretty well with that pass rush ability. And speed, not as big of a need at right outside linebacker, even though it's nice to have. But yeah, just I doubt it's a guy we'll have to go after, but we don't have to put points into him, and we're getting a big lead. So just there as a depth option if we need him. Next up, another position we don't really need like cornerback is wide receiver. We have 1 senior this year, and I don't think we're going to have any next year. So we don't actually need numbers at the position, but I would still take good players. And Eric Randolph and Jerome Miles are both really good players. Randolph with some speed and size, 6'3", decent catching ability, just a really good receiver. Not much after the catch ability, but we could use some traditional receivers. We've got some players like that. And then Jerome Miles, another decent skill set guy. 71 catching's a little low, as is 71 catching traffic, but he's got some size and some decent speed. Quentin Edwards, a defensive end, another position we don't really need, but he's just a good player. And so I'm interested in bringing in good players. He'd be improved depth at the position. Another guard option, just kind of a backup. We kind of need multiple. So Jason Matthews, a decent player, 69 overall, but I think his attributes are better than like a player of 69 overall. He's got kind of everything I want from a guard as a backup, red shirt option. The last couple players putting points into another receiver, Chad Brown, 95 excel, catching ability, not amazing, even though it does have good route running. 6'2", got some size to him as well. And then Barkley's just a weird player. 78 overall, athlete, 6'3", 229. Would you think, okay, maybe like a wide receiver? He cannot catch to save his life. 45 catching. He's not a wide receiver. I think his best position is quarterback. 90 throw power, 83 accuracy, but it's not a huge need for us. And even though he does have decent speed and acceleration, he has no break tackle ability, really. 61 break tackle, 70 looseness. So not a perfect quarterback, but doesn't really fit anywhere else. Like, he can play linebacker. He's got 70 tackling, 80 play rec, 81 pursuit, decent coverage ability. But the one thing that really throws me off on him as a linebacker, he has 43 block shed. And I don't know if I could play a linebacker with 43 block shed. Fill out the boards, the rest of the players that we have, just kind of as backup options that we don't have points into just yet. John Boone, good speed and acceleration, probably a receiver. I think he's best as a receiver. Decent receiving option with some decent speed, 6'2" as well. And backup, a couple of other backup outside linebackers in case we just don't get any of the other guys we're targeting. Not great players, but as depth options, they'd be fine. Same thing really for center, Eric Harris, Tony Scott. Backup defensive end option, like Gunn. Another backup safety option. This player is kind of weird as well, Graham Wilson. He's a free safety with amazing speed and amazing tackling, but just never ask him to cover anybody because he cannot do it. I don't know what to do. And it's like, you think, okay, maybe that's a really good skill set for maybe like a outside linebacker or something. Well, he's 5'11", 178. So what is this player? Like, he's probably best as a strong safety, like an in-the-box strong safety, which is weird for a guy that small. But with that tackling and lack of coverage ability, I just don't know what to do with this guy. But he's got an interesting skill set, so I'm going to keep him on the board. Another outside linebacker, Clifford. Backup tight end option, Patrick Keys. And a fullback as well. Our current fullback is a tight end naturally, so if we need a backup tight end, we can bring in Chuck Hall, move him back to tight end. Just some more options to improve some depth and, you know, keep the roster at its limits that we're wanting. And then finally, the last two players, just two really good players that we don't need whatsoever, really. Sean Washington, maybe. I could see a position where Sean Washington could play some games for us. He's not a runner. 58 speed. He ain't running the ball ever. But he's an amazing passer. 93 throw power, 87 accuracy. If we're late in the game and we just need to just throw the ball every single down and we need somebody that can throw it down the field accurately, I could see us bringing on Sean Washington to do that. And then finally, Clarence Little, a running back. Again, we don't really need running back, but he'd be some good depth for us. Got some good speed, decent break tackle ability. Not much of a receiver, but just a good player that's interested in us, and we don't have to put points into him, and he's still top of the board for him. So I would be interested in bringing him in. And then look at the rest of these guys where we're at on the board. Most of them are new guys to the board, like Keys, Hall, Little, Washington. Clifford we've been looking at for a little bit. We've got a big lead on him without having to put points into him. Same for Graham Wilson. Gunn, another new player to the board. Tony Scott, another new player. Same as Eric Harris. Zach Owens, we've got a big lead. Tyus Goodman, we've got a big lead. That's why these guys are on the board, because we don't need to put points into them, and we've got leads on them. So if we just need some depth, if we can't get the guys we're targeting, I'd be okay bringing them in just to be some depth options for us. And then finally, John Boone, another new player to the board. So that's where the board currently sits. I don't think we're going to have nearly as many true freshman starters next year. I think the only ones that really have a chance of starting are maybe Joseph Monroe, John Jude, and the punter, John Robinson. He's definitely going to start if we get him. But other than that, we're definitely not going to have 9 true freshman starters, but maybe 2. This team's in a lot better position than it was when I joined, and it's looking like we might be able to get them in an even better position. Hopefully, in not too long, we'll be challenging for some Big Ten championships and some national championships. I haven't recorded the Mizzou game yet, but that's the plan as soon as I'm done with this video. So as long as all things go smoothly, I'm hoping that video is going to be out in a couple hours after this video has gone live. So look forward to us taking on Mizzou and look to see if we can go to 3-0. If you made it this far, why don't you like the video, subscribe, and click the bell. The links to all my socials and my Twitch are in the description. I really appreciate all your support. Thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you next time.